2025-2026 certified staff expertise pay, also 2025-2026 support staff expertise pay, and updates to employee handbook. Are there any questions on any of the items on the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'd move to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Joe. We have a motion and second to approve the consent agenda. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. That motion carries. We move then to reports. Our first report is a construction report, and Mr. Tim Harder, our Director of Facilities and Technology, is coming to the podium to give that report. Good evening.
Good evening, board members. Well, welcome. It seems like the last time I showed photos, you got to look, and I have a before and an after type picture in here. You saw a lot of behind the scenes wall stuff. Well, a lot has happened in the last month at both our sites at McLean and Green Tree. And as we go forward, I'll give some high overview things of McLean and Green Tree, and then just kind of wrap it up of where we're at as we start the school year here. So as we look at McLean, if you're familiar with McLean, this is standing inside the front entrance of our new secure entrance, and then to the left will be the secure entrance sequence, which will be the new main office there, which will create a multi-layered approach of security as we go through there. Flooring has been gone down, and final cabinets will be installed on Thursday. I was telling Superintendent Wimmer here just before, it's weird, I took this picture on Friday. There's now glass flooring behind there in the office, and that's how fast things are moving at this point in time. Eventually, there'll be a second set of doors there to create that security barrier. Our HVAC control work has been finalized, and it's actually been installed. This evening, both at Green Tree and McLean, they are doing a process of balancing the system. That's around pressures and flow to make sure that you have the right amount of air being turned over in classrooms and so forth. This last week, we passed our above ceiling inspection, and that has been completed at McLean. Our installation of our new fire alarm system is being completed, with our final test being scheduled on Thursday with the fire department. So because we are putting in a whole new fire alarm system, that also gets updated to today's code, which is if you're in an older school, you just hear a noise that goes off. Now this will actually have an annunciator with verbiage that will go with it, along with flashing strobes that will change what that looks like. And so when you do a system like that at Green Tree and McLean, you're actually required to do a fire alarm test. So that will be 2 hours of the fire alarm going off. So those of us who will be in the building on Thursdays, we plan this on Thursday when our staff are in PD, will be walking around with their earplugs. And we appreciate the fire department, Ed Guido, who's our inspector, who's been working with us as we go through there. So we continue to work on those things. And then here's kind of the big thing at McLean. I've never in my life been talked to about windows so much, other than maybe the guy who stops at my house telling me I need new windows. But this last week, we have had Green Tree's windows in for a week. McLean's frames and windows arrived. And so I got a text. I was at Green Tree on Saturday morning, and at 6:15, the first piece of glass went in. And the bottom picture you see here, if you're familiar with McLean, we all have weird nicknames. This is the gazebo room is what my staff calls it. By 6:45, every single one of those panes of glass came in. And so I'll talk a lot about our subcontractors and our construction partners and our staff later on. But we have a good chunk of glass in already at McLean. The rest of the windows that are boarded up will get finalized frames put in, and as glass arrives, they're actually skipping some of the step of it going to the yard, having it reorganized so that this set of glass goes with window 1, and this set of glass goes with window 2, and they're bringing their staff on site and reorganizing it and handing it off to the installation crew to speed everything up by a day to 2 days by the time it gets on site. With that, we have new window treatment installation started today. Our security system reinstalls or installs will start tomorrow, so they will come on site at that point in time. Painting and patching work is being completed, and over 90% of the flooring work is already done at McLean. If you do happen to go into McLean after the school year starts, in the south portion of the first floor area, down by our kindergarten wing, by our art room, a portion of that tile got back ordered, and so what our Findorf partners have done is they've infilled that with a plywood type material to keep that at a level surface for our kids to go across. As soon as that comes in, we will actually have that installed on a weekend and taken care of at that point in time. In terms of as we go forward at Green Tree, so here's that before and after. So this on the top left is the photo I showed you of the office a month ago. The picture in the bottom right was actually last Wednesday. Since then, the doors in the background have been done. It's been cleaned out. More additional work has been done. Glass has been put on the side lights and so forth as we go there. As you look there, you have main office cabinets work being completed. Our restroom tile is being completed. So each of those restrooms got redone up there, or the additional restrooms that will go in our early learning spaces. We did put our focus at Green Tree on all of the other spaces. Those early learning spaces are not needed this year. That move does not happen till later. And so we're focusing on the common bathrooms. Today when I was up there, the tile that goes behind the water fountain was going in, all those different types of pieces. Interior doors installed. So in those new office areas, new spaces are 90% complete. 90% complete. The HVAC system is again being balanced, and we do that off hours so that our staff don't have to sit and listen to what sounds like a fan coming out of the air ducts at that point in time. We continue to work through various pieces there. This is the difference between 3 days. So 3 days ago, we literally had carpet in the entranceway to the back hallway. We now have over 70% of the flooring done in that building. And so that building receives new flooring throughout it, except for the addition that was put on approximately 14, 15 years ago. That was not touched as part of this. Fire alarm system has been installed and has that final test on Thursday, and then that security installation piece starts there as we go back. Today was a big day. It was kind of interesting. Many of us were out at sites today. We welcomed our teachers back. And so as they prep for the school year, for many of them, they've seen a few photos. Some maybe peeked in some windows. Some, kind of looked around, all those different pieces. And so we welcome them back at Green Tree McLean in partnership with Findorf. With our strict safety protocols, they know we provide them with maps, expectations of where they can go, what they can do in the building. Even things such as simple as we're asking them not to wear open-toed shoes at this point as we finalize those different pieces. Staff are able to work in their specific portions of their building. Most of the staff are in their spaces already. We have a couple that we are finalizing in the support services area and the office area. We continue to work with our Findorf partnership team. A large and a big shout out to Kyle, who is our job superintendent, and Derek, who's our project manager. I think I've seen Kyle and Derek more than my entire family in the last week, and many of us have here. Those guys are not only on site, they're on the phone with us, but they are the ones who are managing to make this work. And the one thing that I really appreciate about them, it's not just about work getting done, it's about work getting done safely. We've gone through 5 different versions of where we're gonna place the dumpsters at McLean when schools come back, how we're gonna do the fencing, how are we gonna do drop off in the morning, so that we don't change the routines that we normally have for our students and families here, but to make sure as we do construction after the school year, those things are not affected as we go forward. And a huge thank you not only to our Findorf team, but our subcontractors. If you drove past McLean this weekend, I think at one point we might have hit the 80-person mark in McLean. There maybe wasn't a parking spot, and I've never seen 16 people work in an office area doing trades at one time. And as a section was finished, other people came in at that point. Big thank you to our teachers who showed up today and worked with us. Not everything was in the right place. Not everything was put back. Some things got moved around. And last but not least, a huge shout out to our facilities team. Some of these guys and ladies have been working 21 plus days straight. They volunteer to come in on overtime when we have things like the flooding issues and so forth. Literally, they would finish this room, and a team of 4 would come in and start cleaning and prepping that space at that point in time. We had contractors and staff on site from 4 a.m. all the way till 11 p.m. in the evening. I'm surprised I didn't get a phone call from our cops asking to make sure, because people are walking through and checking out that work. But it's a big last final push as we go forward. Really looking forward to finalizing that safety piece, and really looking forward to seeing the kids come back in the schools and seeing those changes at that point in time. So I will entertain any questions you have this evening as we go forward.
Questions for Mr. Harder?
So I heard a few references to safety, the plywood, temporary, no open-toed shoes, things like that. So eight days from now, we're pretty confident that there's going to be no kind of hazardous areas that the kids can get into.
Yep, so a great answer to that, Joe, is so at Green Tree, I talked about that early learning area. So on the front side of that, there are 4 classrooms that will be early learning. We will actually build temporary walls. We won't, but Findorf's team will build temporary walls that will be blocked off. If we are working in this room, but the hallway and everything else down here is okay at McLean, doors locked, kids go in there. We have a safety protocol and even a check-in for the contractors through Findorf. They'll have tags that they have to wear, all those different pieces. If they are doing outside work, it has to be fenced off, and that is really, that is Findorf's job to manage that with us, but those are the pieces that we will take care of. The McLean staff has maybe been through this once before, as they had a delayed construction project before due to some different pieces, but we're confident that those areas, when we are ready and safely can do that, we will open them. So for example, our gym at McLean will stay closed. The actual gym, as we use that as a holding tank for the final pieces. We're doing the same thing with our library at Green Tree. Doesn't mean the staff won't maybe be able to go in there, but we won't be using those spaces at that point in time. And so we review all those pieces. We'll actually get those protocols out to our staff and parents through our principals this week. And then the staff this weekend at each building received what the equivalent of 5-page email with 4 maps of everywhere from where to park, what door to come in, what time, what hallway you get to go down, what bathroom works today, all of that. I'm actually excited because a lot of that goes away by next week.
Nice.
Just continuing on that theme with the installation of the new fire alarm system, I'd imagine the security features, there's probably going to be some training opportunities for employees.
Yep.
Can you maybe talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So when we start doing our testing, my team will be on site for the fire alarm piece. The nice part with the security system is it's an actual add-on to the system that we've invested for years here. So that's being done in partnership with our partner, but then also work. So my IT team has been actually out on site today doing some of those things. There'll be some enhanced pieces of not just the safety and the different checkpoints of coming in, but as we bring those protocols up, we will test them. And there are some new technology pieces. You know, instead of one door being buzzed, now there might be 3 or 4 doors and different things as we go there. The nice part is it also allows us to expand to remove the physical key aspect for our staff to badges, which allows actually more access for our staff when needed at that point in time. So,
Other questions? Hearing none, we appreciate your update. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Our next report is the Policy Committee report, and I was unable to attend the last Policy Committee meeting, but I want to thank Mr. Jenkins for chairing the meeting, and so you will share the update.
Of course, thanks so much. Yep, the Policy Committee met on August 19th with 3 of our 4 members present. First off, we reviewed the book club selection process, gave a little bit of feedback, and we expect that to come back to the full board at a future date. A bulk of what we reviewed was Policy 830, that's the use of facilities, that after some good feedback, I think, from the community and then within our group, we created that from 3 structures to 4 structures. So the 4 structures would be Tier 1 of youth-focused community events, in Tier 2 with the reduced facility-only fees, and then adult-focused community groups in Tier 3, and then business or outside groups in Tier 4. So again, with that feedback that we got from the public and discussion as a committee, just breaking that out a little bit more into 4 committees seemed to be a great compromise, and I think that'll move forward to the board with I hope, unanimous consent. Overall, we tackled that, and then we went to the 800 and 900 series, which you'll have review today. We gave minor feedback on that. These were regarding the school community relations and then facilities development as well. That's what I got.
Great, thank you for the update. Any questions on the report? All right, hearing none, we will move then to the superintendent's report. Superintendent Wimmer.
So I would echo Tim's thanks for our facilities teams, Tim included. Everyone has been kind of giving it their all, foregoing days off, leading into the school year, and making sure all of our buildings, especially those 2 construction sites, are prepped, ready to go for our staff to return, as well as our students a week from now. So it is just a week away that kids will be returning, so we have kind of some of those last lead-up meet and greet events. We have a mini day at the high school for freshmen and any students new to the high school. So that'll take place Wednesday afternoon. Again, our crews are working really hard this week. Our teachers kind of walked in today. Today was one of the options for work days, so they were able to access their school in the classrooms for the first time. And even though it's kind of overwhelming, kind of putting rooms back together and doing that, it's that undercurrent of excitement around the transformation that's been brought to their schools. and they're really excited about that, and they can't wait to show that off to kids. Tim took them on a field trip at Green Tree today so they could see some of the spaces as they're being finished. And again, a lot of hard work. I'd like to also thank Mrs. Hyde, the principal at McLean, and Mr. Politz at Green Tree, because they officed here with us this summer. They couldn't even be on site, but they made detailed plans for the first day to help students transition back. Because of the construction schedule, they're having to shift traditional things like meet and greets, open houses. So they're very excited. They'll shift those to once the school year gets going to have people in, and then they'll get to show off all those spaces to students and families. So they're excited about that. So we appreciate those families, their flexibility, their understanding as they work to make sure that everything is prepared and perfect for the kids to come back. Our high school sports have started. We had football games already, so I'd encourage everyone to check those websites and make sure you're following along and join us to cheer on our students. Also, last week, we welcomed our new teachers. We're really pleased to have a strong group of professionals joining us. We always say, we're selecting them, but they're also selecting us. It's always point of pride to say what a great school district we have, but also a really strong community that we have that is welcoming us. So thank you to our teacher mentors who help them transition, understanding where the copier is to what do I teach and how do I do that. They support our new staff throughout the year. We took a big bus tour to see all the sites, and each principal greeted new faculty at their schools so they could see all the different schools in our community. And then we ended with lunch at Regner Park. So it was a fun-filled day. And very exciting, and I'm sure overwhelming. I can't imagine. I remember those new teacher days and a lot of information coming at you, so I think there's a great model of support that goes throughout the year for our new staff. Speaking of new staff, there's still some job openings in the district. So if you're interested in second shift custodial work, we also need some classroom aides. There's a few food service openings and certainly coaches. So please spread the word to anyone that you know who might be interested. It's a fantastic place to work, a fantastic community. So we'd encourage you to check out our website and check out some of those openings. We look forward to being fully staffed in the 1 week away start of the school year. So take a look at those. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Superintendent Wimmer on her report? All right, hearing none, we move then to our discussion items tonight. And our first discussion item is agenda and resolutions for the September 22nd, 2025 annual meeting. And so just as a reminder, we're not talking about a school board meeting. This is the annual meeting of the electors. And so to walk us through this is Mr. Lenny Hansen, our Assistant Superintendent, who's taking the podium. Good evening.
Good evening. This process looks pretty similar from year to year. All K-12 school districts in the state of Wisconsin by statute must have an annual meeting of the electorate. Ours has historically been held in September for many years in a row. Our annual meeting is going to be on September 22nd this year. As in the past, at 6:30, there'll be a budget hearing where we go over budget performance from the prior year, as well as looking ahead to the next year's budget. And then the annual meeting itself takes place at 7 o'clock. You'll see there's a proposed agenda, which really mirrors what we've used in past years there for you to take a look at. As a reminder, the annual meeting and the budget information is based on preliminary data. The really key data points that are needed to set a final budget don't come to school districts until about early to mid-October. A number of important data points either from the Department of Public Instruction or the Department of Revenue, but we use consultation from Baird to come up with some projections to come up with the budget proposal for the annual meeting. The resolution that you see is an advisory resolution from the electorate, which then later leads into when we come back to the board on October 27th, and the school board itself actually sets the budget and levy at that meeting. At that point, we have all of that final data, so you are then poised to be able to act on that. We are anticipating no increase in the mill rate from its prior number of $6.14. As I said, an agenda as well as a proposed resolution is included there in board docs for you. The Wisconsin Association of School Boards provides advising about statutorily compliant ways to phrase that resolution, and we got their advice again this year. We would be bringing forward the agenda and the resolution at our next board meeting on September 8th, at which point, after the board takes action, that sets the stage for us to get ready for that annual meeting, which includes some statutorily required publications of the agenda and budget proposal that happen between September 8th and the actual annual meeting on September 22nd. So that's a summary of the process. Again, very similar to what you've seen in prior years, but just here to kind of lay that out as this is a discussion item, and then we'd come back for action 2 weeks from now.
Thank you. So again, I know you said it twice, and I'll say it a third time, discussion only. We're not taking action now. This will come up again. My first question is it possible that we'll have different budgetary information between now and then, that these numbers might change? Or you talked about probably we would know more in October. So do we think these numbers will remain the same, or could they change?
We are looking at various figures that give us an idea of where some of those numbers will end up. Almost daily, we're looking at those. So it is possible that when we come back on September 8th with the final resolution and agenda, that there could be a slight adjustment from there. But whatever we approve on September 8th for the resolution needs to be the resolution. So even if I were to come across additional data, say on September 15th, we cannot adjust the resolution, at least the initially proposed resolution, on the evening of the annual meeting. That is the one that we are kind of starting with as what we bring forward. Now, we can certainly educate the public, though, at the annual meeting if we believe there's adjustments that, you know, we already are aware of. But, so yes, the answer, that's a long answer to your question. The short answer is yes, there may be adjustments. And then if you look at historically, every year from the annual meeting to that, about a month later, when the final budget and levy comes forward, you do see adjustments in those numbers.
Sure. Absolutely fine. Just wanted to clarify. Other questions about the process? Anything in the proposal so far? We'll have a chance to take a look at this again when it's on the agenda for approval. I'm not seeing any follow-up questions. Appreciate you explaining it. Thank you very much. All right, our next discussion item then is policy, I believe. The policy series review of the 800 series, school community relations. This is a first reading. Superintendent Wimmer, are you going to walk us through this item?
Sure can.
Thank you.
So we set aside the policy around using the buildings that we talked about. We spent the bulk of our conversation kind of unpacking those different groups. You don't see that coming forward. We're teasing that out. So with the exception of that one, we reviewed the remainder of the 800s that you'll see here. So that's why you don't see the one regarding the facilities. So I just want to call your attention to that. We've got them in 3 different buckets. We have no recommendations on the first 3 policies that you see there around public activities, restrictions on tobacco. Just a reminder, the restrictions on tobacco, nicotine, vapor products impacts both students and employees, as well as the visitors to schools. So again, no recommendations on those pieces unless anyone had any thoughts to share at this time on the non-recommendation group. And again, it's a first reading. You can take some time in between now and then. We'll go through what we discussed, and you can certainly give your thoughts to me in the interim. The next one are recommended revisions to format, some alignment and wording. The biggest one is the use of the word school board, converting district administrator to superintendent, taking up any typos or addition of grammar. We had a couple even since policy that we took care of, so I'll walk us through. In that 810, just alignment of the word school board and taking care of a few typos. I made sure to add, like in that next one, 823, shifted to the word superintendent and added a colon since our last committee meeting. So I called that out. Go ahead, Chris.
Superintendent
Okay,
Wimmer, if it's okay with
Yeah.
the board, do we mind skipping your format and alignment items and just going straight to the discussion?
I have no problem with that. There were, and I did mark, there were some that came in after committee, and they are so marked. So if everyone's comfortable with that, I would like it too.
Right? Are we good?
That's good.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. We'll move on.
Thank you. All right, so the ones that really we dug in for discussion were 823.1 records management. This is completely new. We have certain schedules of records retention that are kind of, some are dictated to us that we follow. So this is putting the policy language in, and then I had some interim questions. We would follow this policy up with that schedule, so you can see how many years we keep each kind of record, those pieces. So this is just new language. Any questions on kind of why we would have this or what that's contained? These are the WASB recommended language as well.
I was just curious, does this have to match, so the state of Wisconsin puts out a retention guide too, for, and I know we follow that for municipalities, so is this kind of this, do you have to follow that, or does WASB provide a separate guidance that the school district does?
So yes, we follow a large portion of those, and then we might have some very specific to student records that we just add in. So they'll take the actual state one,
Yep.
and they might personalize it for schools, and then we utilize that exact piece.
Got it.
With no questions, the next one I would like some feedback on where we left. I gave both the current language in case there was any pieces that people felt strongly about carrying over. Otherwise, we have draft language using WASB's template. After discussion, we were talking about there's some school forests. I thought the hunting one was confusing. I had some back and forth around that piece. I think
sorry.
you can strike that.
Sorry, Superintendent, which one are we on? I'm
On the
sorry.
weapons
The
one,
weapons, thank you.
832, that very next one, after the records management. So you have both the old language, in case you wanted to pull anything over. We didn't have any discussion that evening about pulling anything over, but we wanted to bring it to the full board, and then you have the new language. Again, the only change since our committee was, I think you can strike the hunting. I don't have a lot of forest land, and if I needed to do something, it would be around herd management. It wouldn't be open public sport, and I'd bring that to the board for action if I had to do that on property. So I think the policy, kind of removing that one, is a little bit easier to understand.
Any questions or feedback on that? Again, we'll have a chance to see it as on our next agenda as well, but
Yeah. So again, if there's anything in that old language you'd like to see carried over, or you think, there was a question about, should I be listing all the weapons in policy instead of referring to statute? So sometimes those change. So one of the recommendations is to leave it as is, because then I have flexibility. One, I always have to be compliant with the law. And then depending on intent, like, what is or isn't being used as a weapon, those kinds of things. So maybe not boxing in that language. That was one of the questions that came up that I wanted to talk through too. But again, if the board wanted to see something like that, then I would recommend that come in a different place outside of policy, maybe in one of the behavior guidebooks or some kind of supporting piece, but maybe not necessarily here. So just leaving that open for discussion for the team.
any thoughts? Are we okay with the approaches that's laid out? I think we're okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean,
Joe?
I raised the question just because the prior policy had listed out, the various types of weapons, but I can see as that list may change, you'd have to then update your policy along with it, so it's probably fine to just refer to the statute.
And that last one, there is no standard for this. This is around naming school district facilities. So we just had on there that we would discuss the content because it seems to be maybe a local policy that was developed. We changed number 4, the word grant into granting since that committee. But just leaving that open, I think it's covered. It really is pushing the board to see each case by case basis on that. So we felt as a committee that the policy language covered us. But we just want to make sure there was no other thoughts from the board.
I think this is fine. There's a second bullet point that talks about the department, school affected must be consulted. I'm assuming that means, excuse me, the principal, or, I'm okay with that general wording. I just want to be sure when we say that, we know who at the school would be consulted.
Yeah, and I think that, I think we've kind of set that standard in our referendum work as we lead into finalizing a process around asking the question of high schools that supports our views around collaborating with people who are impacted. So I was good with that.
Other thoughts? Okay. All right, I think we're good on that one.
And that really takes you through all of your 800s in a lovely expedient manner.
All right, so this was a first reading. So we will see these back then on the next agenda for a second reading.
So, yep, you have the opportunity to take action on items that are unanimous. So I certainly could list them that way, giving you that lane to take action on any of them. If there's one that we get feedback in the interim or one you want to set aside, we can do that at that time. But I think I'd be comfortable kind of setting you up for action if you so choose.
Yeah, just to clarify, I'm not able to attend the next meeting, but I think the way it works is it's unanimous based on who's present.
That's correct.
Okay, perfect. I have no objection to laying it out that way.
Okay.
Other members of the board, I don't see any objections either.
And again, if I should receive any feedback, we can all set one aside.
Great. All right, that concludes that item?
The next is me too.
All right, which is policy series review of the 900 series, facilities development, first reading.
You have one policy in this bucket, but in one of the revisions, we'll rename one, renumber it to the appropriate number, so then you'll have two. So the singular policy in the 900 series is around the retirement of facilities, and we'll certainly be facing that question over the course of the next year. So we were just making sure all we did was update it into the format since committee, just some extra lines, added the numbers so it was consistent, but it's the same language. Again, we felt that it gave us the leeway on a case-by-case basis to take care of things and move through that conversation, but open to feedback from the full board.
Excuse me, board members, any feedback on the language?
And again, you might have some in the interim, but otherwise I'll schedule this for potential action as well.
All right. Thank you, and I think that concludes that item as well, correct? All right, we appreciate it. Next on our agenda then is, let's see, we are to future agenda items. We start with our board meeting calendar. I'll turn to the calendar here in my notes. On our board meeting calendar, we have on September 2nd, a curriculum committee meeting, 4:30 p.m. here at the Education Service Center. And then our next regular board meeting is September 8th, 5:30 p.m. at the Education Service Center. And then as Mr. Hansen had previewed, on September 22nd, we have a budget hearing starting at 6:30 p.m. And then at 7 p.m., the 105th annual meeting of the electors. That will take place at the Silver Linings Auditorium. Any questions on the board calendar? Anything to add or correct? We encourage the public to look for the official meeting postings, as the date or the time or the location may change. All right, with that, are there any other items for follow-up and communication? Hearing none, board members, we have an item that is most appropriately discussed in executive session. So I make a motion to adjourn into executive session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.851C to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, and take any such action if necessary based on its discussion, namely compensation for all employee groups. Is there a second? Thank you, Dr. Temez. We have a motion and a second to adjourn into executive session. I will take the roll. I'll call it now. Mr. Pickler? Yes. Mr. Swigert votes yes. Ms. Ergot? Yes. Mr. Jenkins?
Yes?
Dr. Temez? Yes. Ms. Lang?
Yes.
And Ms. Kruger? Yes. Thank you. That motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned into executive session. Thank you to everyone.